I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya. I don't feel safe. Those are the words of a Flagler County teacher who was the subject of racist online death threats last week. 2 white Flagler Palm Coast High School students face misdemeanor assault charges in connection with the threats made against their black teacher on school computers. Teacher Kimberly Lee stood on the front steps of the Kim Hammond Justice Center in Bunnell Tuesday, alongside local NAACP leaders, calling for justice in the form of felony charges. They say the investigation into the racially charged threats has lacked urgency and has been mishandled. Sheriff's deputies initially hadn't charged the students at all and said they didn't deem their threats credible. They called them inappropriate jokes. That's when Lee decided to press charges herself. Flagler NAACP President Linda Matthews says had the students been black, they would have been carted off in handcuffs immediately and charged with felonies. Sheriff's deputies insist race played no role in their ongoing investigation. More serious charges could still be filed against the teens. For now, the students are on administrative leave from school. Lee, who's been a teacher for 2 decades, has yet to return to work. She says she misses her students, but added teachers deserve to teach in a safe environment.
This portion of Flagler's Morning News is brought to you by the Daytona Beach International Airport. Save time, money, and stress. The Daytona Beach International Airport, it's just plain easy.
A Palm Coast father is accused of pointing a gun at his son during a fight. Court records say 68-year-old Larry Calloway asked his son to finish his chores at their home on Pickwood Lane. When his son fired back, he's a grown man and would do the chores when he wants. Both men began yelling, and that's when Calloway had enough. Police say he retrieved a handgun from his bedroom and pointed it at his son, yelling, "Do it now or get out of my house." His son says this isn't the first time his dad's pointed a gun at him. Calloway was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Crime is down in Flagler County as it is across the state. John Arking takes a look.
The 2018 semi-annual Uniform Crime Report from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement shows Florida's crime rate dropped by 8% compared to the first 6 months of 2017. In Flagler County, the overall crime rate, or total index crimes, was down 17.6%. State Representative Paul Renner was asked what was behind the trend.
I think it's a combination of things, and you'd have to ask someone that studies that year-round, and it's not me, but I think that in part, we came up with habitual statutes and looked at people. I think you have 2 groups of people very broadly, and there's more than that, but as a former prosecutor, there's the groups of people that are young, they get caught up in something, they make a mistake, they're not inherently bad people, and then you've got a group of people that will commit crimes over and over and over again. Instituting years ago our habitual and violent habitual statutes really have captured those folks and frankly taken them off the streets.
When compared to the same time period, this is the lowest crime rate for the Flagler County Sheriff's Office's jurisdiction since 2005. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arking.
Would you know what to do in the event of an emergency? If not, there's a class for that. Tony Magoo has the details.
Flagler County Emergency Management, in partnership with Flagler Volunteer Services, will offer classes in basic disaster response skills. The Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT training program, will begin on January the 8th. The program has been called a win-win by Emergency Management Chief Jonathan Lord. When the local volunteers are trained in these disaster response protocols, it allows our fire, rescue, and law enforcement personnel to focus on more complex tasks, while it positions the volunteers to bring a valuable skill set to their community. The program will provide training in basic disaster response skills like fire safety, light search and rescue, team organization, and disaster medical operations. The classes will be held at Flagler County Emergency Operations Center every Tuesday and Thursday evening from 5 to 9:30. If you're interested, you can call 313-4200. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Tony Magoo.
Christmas miracles start in many different ways. This one starts with a Palm Coast animal control officer finding a dog on the interstate and getting it to safety.
He first called her Blue.
She's a blue pit bull.
Palm Coast Animal Control Officer Casey Hagan went to investigate a dog found on the side of I-95 near Palm Coast almost 2 weeks ago.
So I responded out to that call that day and met with the citizen on scene, and I'd seen Blue was what I'd called her on the edge of the road near the wood line.
Hagan said the dog was clearly hurt and almost could not run away from him.
As soon as I approached her, she got up with what energy she could and managed to stumble back into the bushes where I couldn't go.
Hagan said he set a humane trap to capture Blue so he could get her the medical attention she needed. He found her the next morning inside the trap. He took her to the animal hospital only to find that Blue really was injured. Tomorrow, Blue gets a name change and finds a forever home. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.